A player is walking up to take the penalty. The whole stadium's gone quiet, and he can somehow hear 60,000 people breathing. His heart rate right now is somewhere around 180 beats per minute. And here's the thing nobody tells you. The guy who scores the winning penalty 5 minutes later in the exact same shootout, under the exact same lights, his heart is doing roughly the same thing. Same speed, same flood of adrenaline, same shaking hands. One of them is about to be a hero, and one of them is about to spend the rest of his career being remembered for one kick. And their bodies in that moment can't tell the difference between the two of them. So if the physical experience is basically identical, what's actually different? For years, the answer football gave itself was character. You've heard a pundit say it 100 times. He just doesn't look like he wants it. But there's a number that makes that explanation fall apart a bit. When a penalty is taken to win a shootout outright, players convert it at somewhere close to 92%. And when the penalty is taken purely to avoid being eliminated, that number drops to around 62%. That's not a different group of players. That's the same players, the same legs, the same hundreds of hours of practice. The only thing that changed is what the kick meant. There's a Norwegian researcher, Geir Jordet, who spent more than 20 years on exactly this question. He's gone through every shootout at every World Cup, Euros, and Champions League since the 70s, and one part of his work is almost uncomfortably specific. He can tell you, just from watching a player walk up to take the penalty, that he's going to miss. The players who are struggling rush. They place the ball fast. They react to the referee's whistle almost instantly. Like, they want the whole thing over with as quickly as possible. And a lot of them won't look at the goalkeeper. Some literally turn their back on him while they're setting the ball down, which, if you actually picture it, is a strange thing for a grown professional to do. A man being paid an enormous amount of money to do this one specific job. Turning around so he doesn't have to make eye contact with the man whose entire purpose is to stop him. The players who are doing fine do the opposite. They take their time. They wait for the whistle instead of rushing it, and they hold the goalkeeper's gaze. It's such a small detail to hang an entire moment on, but Jordet's research keeps landing on it. The hurry isn't really about the kick. It's about wanting to escape the feeling before the feeling escapes them first. Marcus Rashford missed one at Wembley. Afterwards, he said something that's stayed with me. I can score penalties in my sleep, so why not that one? That's not a man short on skill. That's a man trying to make sense of a gap between what his body can normally do and what it just did. Jordet actually interviewed players like that for his most recent work. People who've taken hundreds of these in front of cameras and crowds, trying to find what separates the penalty that ends in relief from the one that ends in silence. Here's the part that got me when I first read into this properly. That's the bit everyone gets wrong watching from the stands. The player who strolls up and rolls it into the corner like it's nothing. His heart is going just as fast as the one who's about to miss. There's research out of the University of Rochester that looked at this exact gap between what you feel and what you do with it. And the finding is almost embarrassingly simple once you hear it. People told to calm themselves down before a high-pressure moment generally perform worse. People who instead tell themselves, I'm excited, using that same racing heart instead of fighting it consistently, perform better. A completely different sentence producing a completely different result. And it doesn't even stop with the one player. Jordet found that when someone scores and celebrates both arms up, then the next opposing player is statistically more likely to miss. The feeling jumps. One man's nervous system talking another man's nervous system into falling apart 12 yards away without either of them saying a word. So the player walking up in a tied shootout and the player about to come apart aren't separated by courage or whatever word a pundit reaches for when he doesn't actually know the answer. They're separated by a private decision about what that pounding heart is for. Is it telling you something's wrong? Or is it telling you you're finally ready? And then, whichever answer he lands on, it doesn't stay his alone for long. Because that's the strange part of pressure. From the outside, it looks like a football story. A penalty, a crowd, a trophy waiting somewhere in the distance. But strip away the stadium, and it becomes something much more familiar. Every person eventually finds themselves standing over their own version of a penalty spot. A moment where the outcome suddenly feels bigger than the action itself. Where one conversation, one decision, one attempt starts carrying the weight of everything that might happen afterward. And just like the player, your body doesn't quietly step aside and let you handle it. It arrives with shaking hands, a racing heart, and a voice in your head asking whether you're ready. The reason that matters is because most of us spend those moments trying to get rid of the feeling. We wait to feel confident before we act. We wait to feel calm before we begin. But the players who survive those moments don't wait for the noise to disappear. They step forward while it's still there. The heartbeat stays. The uncertainty stays. The possibility of failure stays. What changes is the meaning they attach to it. The nerves stop being evidence that they're not prepared and start becoming evidence that what they're about to do matters. And sometimes that small shift is enough to turn the same fear that freezes one person into the thing that carries another person through. You've also felt that exact heartbeat before. Maybe not walking toward a penalty spot with 60,000 people watching, but somewhere else. A stage, a room full of strangers, an interview, an exam, a conversation you've been rehearsing in your head for days, a phone call you didn't want to make. That feeling when your chest tightens, your hands don't quite feel steady, and your brain suddenly becomes aware of every possible way things could go wrong. And that's what makes all of this so interesting, because for most of the last 100 years, football treated pressure like something that happened only to footballers, something unique to elite athletes. But the more researchers study it, the more ordinary it starts to look. The player walking up to the penalty spot isn't experiencing some special kind of fear reserved for professionals. Their nervous system is doing exactly what yours does. The same surge of adrenaline, the same racing thoughts, the same pounding heart, the same voice asking, "What if this goes wrong?" The difference is that their moment happens in a stadium, and yours usually doesn't. They aren't different from you. They're just you, in different shoes. Have a good one. Peace.